Welcome back to another review. Today, we're going to be talking about Oliver Lieb's 2019 album, Inside Voices. At first, you might think that Inside Voices is an ambient album, which I thought myself that it was. But knowing Oliver Lieb's earlier work, I thought, well, when is this going to transform into an all-out trance track? It does slowly form into a more techno-trance experience, but rather more towards the end. One thing that is for sure is you need patience and believe in the journey. If you're one of those that appreciate both ambient and techno-trance music, this album is right down your alley. If not, well, I plead with you to give it a chance, and you'll thank me later. As you might have known, Oliver Lieb is a German trance techno producer from Frankfurt. He has produced under several different aliases and also DJs from time to time. Starting off as a bassist for many funk-styled bands, he eventually started producing on his own and immersed himself into the techno-trance genre, which was exploding with popularity in his hometown, Frankfurt, as well as throughout Germany and other European countries. Some of his earliest works come from 1989, moving onwards from there. ZYX Music was a major proponent and catalyst, as well as the Hart House label. Oliver Lieb, over the years, has built himself a state-of-the-art music studio, which you can clearly hear on Inside Voices. I really love and enjoyed hearing this album in all its many twists and turns. The album truly takes you on a sonic journey and relaxes your senses, as much as it also excites them. Starting with part 1 and 2 of Surface Tension, it sounds like you're in the Arctic Pole, amongst the dense pine trees, a cold breeze blowing down through the valley. A very simple yet intriguing breakbeat is rolling through, sort of like a train moving along its tracks, at a constant pace. At the same time, there's a shifting of sands as if a shaman is there slowly putting your senses into a trance-like vibe. This all comes down during part 1 of Surface Tension for over 10 minutes, and without a break of silence. Continues straight into part 2. At this point, you start hearing a progression of synth keys twirling in a non-stop loop. The synths develop into a pulsating breakbeat wherein the aforementioned synth keys are molded into a blurred dub. The last 2 minutes, the song all but deconstructs into an ambient soundscape. As inner core is introduced with a mystical piercing of crystals being chimed, and your senses come through into a hollow sounding inner core, which sounds like you found the inner sanctum of a deep crystal cave. For one reason or another, it seems like you are staying within this realm for the time, and your mind starts to wander. With this, the next song continues without break into dream fields. It takes about 10 minutes, expands, your ears are surrounded by an enveloping synth sound, which is met with a quick sound effect and bass-driven rolling beats. A metallic sounding liquid is being poured into a container which your ears can clearly hear and detect with close, undisturbed listening provides. As all sounds are slowly dubbed away, leaving only a solitary dripping liquid sound like water dripping from the ceiling of a cave, spooky action from a distance begins and slowly but steadily takes over. A wobbly, resonating pulse pervades throughout, taking over all other sounds and demands your attention. Last 2 minutes, it becomes very interesting where there is elastic, ever-changing tone that sounds like it could have a life of its own, pulsates in rhythm, and so begins self-aware universe, which I think could possibly be a great example of what the James Webb Space Telescope found at or near the beginning of our own universe. Complex galaxies which seem out of place. Just like the Big Bang might only be a traversing door into an older universe, which we are unaware exists, which makes you think that our universe is expanding and contracting and will eventually create a new universe beyond our own. Who knows, really? It sure is interesting to think about, though, and this song, with its sounds, make you fall into ever deeper thought processes. After a while, part 1 of 2 parts begins Inside Voices, which just over 6 minutes blasts your surroundings with ambient sound that penetrates your inner soul. The last minute of part 1 is unique, in which a very soothing, low humming bass overtakes the expansive ambient sounds. And before you know it, you're moving into part 2 of Inside Voices, where a male voice confidently confides that all is good and he feels much better now. The only vocal you hear throughout the entire album. And just like that, the album comes to an end. Now, there is a mixed version of the album, which afterwards, just over an hour and 12 minutes. And I think that the album itself is in continuous development, and the additional material, which is mixed, is nice, but not needed necessarily. My favorite tracks are the Inner Core, Self-Aware Universe, and the second part of Inside Voices. Now, you might have different opinions on this, but I can only tell you what my own favorites are. I would love to hear what your own thoughts are on the tracks and what you think overall on this Oliver Lieb album. I feel this album surely is at least an 8.5 out of 10, if not more, as time passes. It is truly a beautiful album with a great journey that is enjoyable with each and every new listen. If you're an ambient music listener or an experimental techno music fan, this album is one that you should consider hearing. And that's it for me this time around. I hope you enjoyed hearing my thoughts and descriptions. See you again soon.